So what are we
Yeah.
talking about today? We'll focus on the onboarding and how to do it right. And what we'll do today is, together with Slavik and using learning battle cards as a background, we'll just provide you a quick overview of how do we think of onboarding, how do we think of this really very specific time when new joiners are for the first time on board of our organization, on board of our company. So I did my own personal research just to see what research is doing us. But before we'll jump to this, what I would like to do is to say thank you for Slavik to have me here, as this is a session that is mostly promoting learning battle cards. That is a great tool for all the educators and all the learning designers. So if you would like to get your copy of learning battle cards, please go to our learningbattlecards.com website and get yourself equipped with the tool, with a physical tool. Or I have a really good announcement that in the upcoming few weeks, so in September, we'll be ready with having a manual purchase option of learning battle cards in Miro platform. And in October, we'll have an automated online store when you will be able to get yourself a license of learning battle cards in Miro. So without further ado, let me just walk you through a few findings that I just collected here. And of course, I will share all the links to the research that I'm just quoting in here. But few items that are, I would say, really important from the perspective of how, as a learning designers, how as a learning experts, we approach the onboarding. So as when Gartner performed a survey on the onboarding, they said that 77% of employees are saying that managerial support is very important for the onboarding, right? We say onboarding, oh, it's a series of training. Let's have a nice venue. Let's invite people to do something well there. But when we surveyed the new hires, they said it's almost everyone placed the increased importance of managerial support. This is the one thing. So we know that people value the fact that manager is supporting them. The next thing is that the Gartner is predicting that in 2024, 10% of workers will be onboarded in virtual environments. And what it means that in virtual environments only. So it means that they will never, ever meet in person during the onboarding. And that was really interesting to me. It's like, okay, so it means that 10% it will be remote workers. They will get their equipment shipped, they will get their laptop, their mobile, the tablet, anything they need, it will be shipped. Or what is the more interesting, they will be working on their own devices as bring your own BYOD or bring your own device. They will be using their own device to be onboarded to the company. So look what are the challenges here that are imposed on the infrastructure, on the software that you use, on the security, on the safety, on all the other aspects, on the legal aspect, on the GDPR. Everything needs to be set up in the way that employee can just come with their, I don't know, with their own system, and maybe it will be a Mac, but the most of the company was so far using Windows system, right? So the fact that 10% of workers will be onboarded only virtually and only to the virtual environment, that's really interesting. So the next research said that 53% of employees stated that they didn't know how to fully measure the benefits and or failures of their existing onboarding process. So this is a slightly different perspective. It says from the inside of the company, half of the employers, half of the companies, they do not even know what and how to measure during their onboarding process. They have an onboarding process, but they don't know what to measure and how to measure. So this is the next question that I would like to, or the next challenge that I would like to show you how we can approach, and how in our model that we would like to propose, how we can do this. Let's jump forward to what I would say. And once again, we are jumping to the participant's perspective, to the new employee perspective. And then what I would like to highlight is that 81% of employees in the Forbes research said that they were overwhelmed during the onboarding process. And what I did in the background while I was preparing this report, I just put in one of the instructors forum, I just put a question: what would you like? What's the specific condition of the onboarding? What do you think should be included in the onboarding? And I just got approximately a dozen of answers, which were rather a list of things that instructors would like to deliver as a training or as an instruction, rather than a really practical approach. And what was surprising to me, that it was a group of experts that are mostly trainers and instructors, and they were all talking about compliance training, safety training, GDPR training. They were listing hundreds of different learning methods to be delivered during the onboarding. And no one said, like, become efficient at your work, have all the logins that you need, have all the tools you need, make sure that you are there as a valuable member of the team. Everyone was listing what is to be learned. No one was listing the thing what is to be done there. And it really surprised me, because once again, I will refer to this McKinsey report and McKinsey book that I strongly recommend, that is about operating in the new environment and building effective teams in the current environment of everything digital and everything AI. It says that we need to create the delivery capabilities. And delivery capabilities, one of the big items within delivery capabilities is, of course, a talent. But what does the talent say? The talent say that we need to ensure that we have the right skills and capabilities to innovate and execute. And what it means, it doesn't mean learning. It doesn't mean being knowledgeable. It doesn't only mean to be in a situation where I know how the company works, what's the history of the company, what's the value of the company. I need to execute. I need to innovate. I need to have all the access. And those things may be really more important than talking about the history of the company. So what we would like to propose now is, of course, I would like to ask you to start thinking of the onboarding process as something that, by most of the employees, is something that is overwhelming. And what I see also from my experience, as I've also been onboarded to few companies so far, in most of the cases, what the company wanted and how the company approached me was like, oh, you are new, you're fresh, you know nothing, right? And now we will shape you to become a really senior employee, a really person who is experienced, who will fit. I don't want to say it works like a cookie cutter, but I would say maybe a bit. We want to get you through a series of challenges to get because we want you to think in a specific way, right? So that's my experience. Maybe it's not the best experience, but in some of the cases, it was really fun. But I will just tell you about this in a second. But what's really important is this quote from Forbes, is that 81% employees said they felt overwhelmed during the onboarding process. Why? Because everyone wants to squeeze the onboarding process, wants to make it quicker, faster. People want to say like more efficient. Why? Because this is something that is easy to measure. from start to an end, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days, 45 days. Those days are always a metric because it's easy to measure, right? So what we will do today, we will jump into a model that I suggest this may be interesting for you. This may be something that you may use. We'll, of course, make it available to all of you. But of course, we will jump into our favorite tool. We'll jump into Miro. And what I want to do is to tell you a bit more about how I think about the onboarding process. And once again, it's not that there is something right or something wrong here. Let me just get a chance to see. Okay, so Erika says, I've read some information that indicates that onboarding has a component of assimilation into the company and culture. Perfect. I think that we'll talk about this in a second. Just when I started to think about this process, I said, like, okay, when is the moment that onboarding really starts? When is the time when I, as a new hire, because I know that I'm after the recruitment, there was this final call. We've agreed. I'm happy about the new salary, maybe a solid raise, a good company car, 30 days off, everything's cool, right? I'm really excited. But then what's happening? Most probably, of course, it depends on the labor law, on the notice periods, etc., etc. But in many cases, we have this period of 30 days between the moment that I'm just being told that, okay, welcome on board, and signing papers to the first day of really getting to the office or not getting to the office. It depends now on this remote approach, right? But in a standard way, the first day at work, right? Then I said, like, okay, so that is why I just call this minus 30 days. It may be minus 90 days, right? But I've been in the situation where between the first recruitment call and me being hired to the company, there was 11 months of different discussions, calls, and then I had a 3-month notice period. So it was a situation that was really the time that was I would say that my excitement was slowly dropping throughout the year, but hey ho. Then the next thing is, of course, day one, and then I just set it up as a 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days of onboarding, right? And the pre-boarding I really like is, Erika, thank you very much. So what I did, I just did this model, and for you, I also described it in of course, I will just give you the link. I just described this in what can happen, how to use the template so that you will have a quick overview of this here. But what I wanted to do is what can happen between the 30 days and a first day at work. I said, like, okay, what can be the goal there? And what I did here, I just suggested some of the things. And I will be honest, I just interviewed a few of the recruiters and a few of the people who are onboarding. I said, like, what will be the interesting thing? What can happen during this time? And the very interesting part was what is listed here as this SMART goal. They said, like, people who are joining the company, they may be a really good ambassadors, and they will be a really good source of building the brand recognition. For example, if you're an IT company, if you will say, I just got the job here and here and here and there, and I've just joined to the community, that maybe this pre-boarding community. And what I said, like, the goal from the learning perspective, maybe really boost the brand recognition among the target audience, among the group who's joining us. And what can we measure? And this is, of course, my brainstorming here. Achieve a 30% increase in social media followers and 25% increase in brand mentions across platforms. So what can we do? Maybe this will be something that is a LinkedIn thing, right? So what does it mean when I think of this? Of course, this will be this may be a social media platform, right? And when we think of it, getting this may be used across LinkedIn, for example, right? So if we want to have this increase in social media followers, this may happen via social media like LinkedIn, right? So of course we can just put here LinkedIn as a platform where we would like to do it, right? So what we can do, how we can do this, of course we can use it in this section here where we have a message. I will just duplicate this. So what we will do for our new hires, we are already getting in touch with them. They just sign up all the privacy things because if we are under GDPR or any other privacy regulations, then you need to do this, you need to acknowledge this, but you can always send a message, right? If you can send the message, you can add them to the social media, and maybe this will be like, Q1 new hires, people will join this, right? So what we can recommend, we can stimulate them to send that they've joined the company, how maybe we can just put a template in some messaging, right? Is it achievable? Of course, is implement a targeted social media marketing campaign. We need to send this message. So maybe this message will be rather here. We will have a social media campaign which will create our social media platforms. And what I want to say is when we think of it in this way, there is a much measurable, achievable. Let's go back to the slide and exactly this slide. For the Talmundo that has said that like 53% of employers, they didn't know how to fully measure the benefits and failures of their existing onboarding process. We start here. Can we measure? Of course we can measure, right? We can measure things, but what can be the benefit of this onboarding? You have more mentions on social media for your new hires, right? What does it give you? Of course, if we have this goal set up as a boost brand recognition, there is a brand recognition coming from your new hires, which I think is something that may be significantly underutilized, right? This may be really underutilized across companies, right? Of course, this is like, time bound. I said like achieve this within the next 3 months, maybe I would say next 30 days, right? Or we can have it next quarter, right? So that's why I originally just put this here next 3 months, because I was thinking that, not to overwhelm people, this will be something that is quarterly done, right? So each employee is like for 3 months, we have a quarterly thing. So now what I would like to do is, what do you think of it? Because I will just tell you when I heard of it, I was pretty much surprised, especially with this goal to boost brand recognition. So what do you think? Any feedback from your perspective? What do you think about this? Erica and Katarzyna, what's your perspective of this? Because to me it was pretty much surprised when I've seen this for the first time.
Yeah, like, are you talking about the Telemundo statistic of that
Yes.
53%? Not, yeah, I hadn't seen that statistic either, Pietro. And so I like what you've done here, and I love, again, another opportunity for us to see how, like, we can use the cards as a way of being able to not maybe overlook the obvious, when we're trying to find solutions. So, like social media, in this case, that pre-boarding component, that makes, right, a lot of sense. It's like, let's not try to over engineer the solution if that's really where we should be leaning into as a solution. What I'm curious about is, like, this component here in regards to that -30, or the terminology that I've come across is like the pre-boarding. This really sort of fits, at least from where I've worked on some onboarding campaigns with the talent acquisition team. And so I'm wondering what you may have that you want to offer to us, as far as, like, if we are here today and we are the ones who helped to develop the actual training component of onboarding, we tend to not necessarily be brought in that negative 30 or, negative 60 or negative 90, because that seems to be solidly sat within the talent acquisition and recruiting space. So are you suggesting, or are you wondering about any like linkages, or how like a handoff can be helped
Sure,
in
sure.
considering that?
What I really think is that, this minus 30 days or minus whatever, it's mostly on the utilized period. Because I would say from the motivational perspective, and okay, sorry to say that, but this may be a time when our new hires are really highly motivated to learn about the company, to find something cool about the company, to find something that is, they just want to brag a bit about what's their new job, right? We see this on LinkedIn. We see this like, oh, I joined the company, I did this, my new job is I quit this company, I joined this, and I'm just transitioning here, right? And I would say that's something that at least from my perspective, this is something that is pretty much underutilized. Okay, then what's happening next? Then it's like, 30 days is gone, and there's a day one. And one thing about the day one, it's extremely easy to overwhelm the new person, right? And I will tell you that really the great experience I had, it's for the company I just currently work for. There was a session combined with few things. The one was telling us great success stories and great innovations that this company created. Right? There was about some technical solutions, about some innovative solutions, about some challenges, about the story when the company was building engine for a huge ship, like a cruise ship, and they had to rebuild the railroad track because the shaft of the ship was so long that they had to rebuild the rail track, because this is how. And then you start thinking like, really, this company's like doing such a great stuff, such a great big things, and I will be able to contribute to this. And this it was it. Then we played a game, and it was really a game that was about some aspects of how the company operated. And then finally, it was something that I just put in here. Ensure the new hire is fully set up and integrated into the team. What it meant, we've been given all the equipment, had a complete setup of all necessary accounts, tool, access permissions, and I had introductory meeting with my manager and the team. So I was just I wasn't expecting this. That's why I just put it in here, because it was really great practice. So I wasn't overwhelmed with the information. I was significantly motivated. Then I enjoyed playing the game, and then I was put into the situation when there was a technical support, and I was able to deliver this. So what can we do here? Of course, there was how to say it. There was a lecture, right? I would say, or maybe how we can say, there was a presentation for sure, right? That has been used. And what there was a TED-like talk, but how we can say it? Is it a lecture? I would say that it was a lecture, right?
The story you meant also?
Yeah, I would say the story, of course. Then we played the game. We just try to squeeze it in here. And then it was what? It was interaction, it was support, which method to just choose as a support. It wasn't app support learning, but it was like a physical support. I would say that I would just use a sticky note to say support.
Job aid, maybe?
Maybe job aid. Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, we can add job aid here for sure. So the very important thing here, from my perspective, is that this is something that happens during a day one, right? So you know that this is something that happens that happened during the time when I really wanted to, you know, when I really wanted to have my laptop set up, my accounts, right? And then what can we say? I would say a meeting. There was no card like a meeting. There was how to say it, support. I would say I would just copy this meeting.
Pietro, isn't there an interview card? Couldn't we apply the interview card to like the meet and greets?
Yes, sure. Of course, we can add interview here as well. And really, what I really think here is important. It's what's measurable. It means that complete setup, right? I think what's the complete setup is, I mean, complete is by 100%. So what I mean is like each and every employee has got all the accesses, right? And this is something that can be really measured, right? Does everyone have an access? Does everyone have an access to? Does everyone have their laptop? Does everyone have their access? Does everyone has their accounts they need to their roles that they need, right? And this is something that once
What
again
about checklist, Piotr? What would you?
Yeah, we can use the checklist here.
Yeah, because you are talking in a checklist style, by the way.
Yeah, we can do it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, because in this case, Pietro, the measurement is either it's binary, right? It's either done or not done. So the checklist, I think, helps with being able to have your anchor in recognizing what are the things that need to get done. And then, you know, your portion of your checklist obviously can be a percentage of complete towards the 100%. But each of those items that you were talking about, at least in those specific instances, are either done or not done. So I was also leaning into that checklist as well, in considering how to be able to measure, and then also obviously to be accountable.
Yeah, so then we can measure what is the success rate, right? Like how many of the new joiners have been successfully onboarded, right? And that's, but once again, just look at this. We are just building this, and I would say most of the things here at some point we can add some more metrics to it, right? And this may be pretty easy. So, but just look at this. We have a second layer of goals, and we are still at the day one, right? So then what I was starting to think is what we can do in the first 30 days. And this is, once again, the same approach, the same SMART goals. It's nothing unusual here. But what I want to say is like, okay, I would like to integrate our new hire into the company's workflow and culture. And how can I do this, right? Of course, I would just need to have something that I would call a project-based learning, right? What I want to do is, of course, this will be the most important thing to me, this project-based learning maybe, but this is the first thing that comes to my mind. But what I said, like, you know, complete all the onboarding training modules, right? In most of the cases, those will be like e-learning courses, those may be ebooks, those may be orientation packages, those may be local communities, right? But what I said is like what we want to measure here is like, of course, there may be a series of e-learnings, that's fine. But what I want to do is to participate in 3 to 5 team meetings and contribute to at least one project. So I said, like, okay, e-learning course, of course, but the job aids and this project-based learning may help here a lot, right? But also when we think of it, it's a lot in the area of implementation here, right? What can we do? What can we do? What can we use here, right? Of course, the checklist, co-writing, co-creating, job shadowing, right? We have still shared workspaces and job shadowing. Those are the things that can be very much helpful in the first 30 days, right? And I remember the times when I would say this shared workspace was a part of my buddy program. So when I managed a group of 120 learning specialists, there was a very effective program that was called the buddy program. So, and you had two buddies. There was a project buddy and there was a team buddy. And the project buddy was someone who you work in the shared workspace, and you work with the person, you assisted the person that was in a very similar role as your new role will be. And you literally sit next to this person for at least some time, and you were running this shared workspace when, for example, one person was editing, you had only a view rights, right? You can ask questions, but you can't edit, right? Because it was mostly about technical writers, instructional designers, right? But then this job shadowing started in a way that you were performing some of the tasks. You started to perform tasks, and then at some point, you were able to really become, at some point, this is what I used, at some point you become certified at level 1, and you were a certified technical writer, and you were able to start working with your tool, right? So then the certification gained in a shared workspace led to a situation where you were able to perform the co-creation of the content, right? Which I think was a really, really great approach. And also what comes here is those are the communities of practice. I think that this is something that will be, from now on, this community of practice should be until forever, I would say, until retirement, happily retired in the community of practice. But I think that's really, really important. And really measuring something that is like participate in 3 to 5 team meetings, contribute to at least one project. This is something that is referring, I would say, to this very important findings from Gartner, is that 77% of employees are placing increased importance of managerial support. This is exactly the managerial support. Manager is inviting you to the team meeting. You are important part of a team meeting. You can tell your story, you can ask questions, but also you are starting to contribute to at least one project. So it's not that you are a new hire and no one's taking care of you. I've experienced this once in my lifetime, that for 3 weeks, no one knew that I joined. Right? That's really, like, from the mental perspective, that's not the best thing that can happen, right? Because then you come to work, you sit at your desk, you're in front of your computer, and then you can read the news for the whole day because no one knows you're there, right? That's a really bad experience. But
Piotr,
yes,
one more card
please.
from me.
Sure.
Feedback, please.
Yeah, okay. That's right. Okay.
I think that it is often the problem that people think that this new employee knows, but what's happening with him.
Okay, get your point. So this will be also the role of importance part of managers' role, as well as buddies' task to do, right? I would say buddy is a person to give feedback, because this may be like, feedback from a manager may be a bit overwhelming if you're a new hire, but feedback from buddy is like, yeah, maybe you should fix that. Maybe, oh, you know what? We are doing this way or that way. I would say buddy's feedback, great thing. So thank you very much, Slavik, for this part. So we are 30 days into our new role. We have this early engagement, 30 days. We are integrating into Teams' daily operation. We know when the meetings are happening, what are the stand-ups, maybe huddle meetings, maybe stand-up meetings. We know if it's agile, how the thing goes. If it's Scrum, we know the rules. We know where to take, who's the Scrum Master, who's the product owner, how the things are going on, right? In the 30 days, we should be pretty much comfortable on where we are, where we sit, what's our job, right? And then I said, like, okay, maybe the 90 days will be enough, but I said, like, maybe 90 days is too much. I would like to have like 60 days. What can we do in the 60 days? And I said, like, we can ensure that the new hire is independently managing task and contributing value. I would expect that after 2 months after being hired, you can independently execute tasks. Will it be different than from the previous perspective? I don't think so. I think that still I would happily copy all the cards from here, because I don't think that there will be much of a change here, right? I would still say maybe not e-learning courses, maybe rather this community of practice will play a key role here. Maybe I would just need to start reading some ebooks. Let me just add ebook. Do we have ebooks? Yes, we have ebooks. I will add ebook here. Maybe I'll just need to get some books. Maybe I'll just need to participate in some formal trainings, right? But the 60 days is where I should be really focusing on this project-based learning. I would say that this will be the most important thing here, right? So from more of the e-learning and more of the contributing tasks, I would jump into the project-based learning and really, Slavik, as you said, project-based learning and feedback. Those two things in the 60 days period will be really critical for me, right? And of course, communities of practice and playing here. I would say this is really important, right? And here I would say complete at least 2 independent projects or major tasks. I would say maybe not projects is maybe something that is larger, right? But I would say 2 independent major tasks are performed. And
there is an implementation task card, by the way.
Yes. Okay, so let's do this. Thank you. So we will see 2 of the, let's say, 2 of the tasks are to be performed. And what came to my mind exactly this moment is when we are collecting all of this, this is really good thing to have, like, a checklist, as we said, or an onboarding package or a document that will be like, okay, you know what? We expect you to do this here, this there. And it's easy to tell a new hire, you know what? This is the onboarding program. We want you to do this here, do this by that time, do that by this time. We want to have you at least involved in at least 2 implementation tasks in the first 60 days. That's fair. That's clear. That's obvious, right? That we want to do this. So what can we do next? Of course, we will jump to this 90 days. And what can we expect in the 90 days? I would say like 90 days, I would do the 100. It's like, 100 days of a president or a prime minister, right? This is like 100 days. What? And I would say, of course, it's a round number. We like round numbers, but I would say what I would like to happen in this 90 days is solidify the new highest role. And at this point, what I'm thinking of as a manager of a group of people is that by that time, by 90 days, I know who you are, and more or less, I know how you may fit the team, where you will fit best. And this may be a time that you collaborate with your manager and you can develop a plan, your performance management, right? I would say this is the moment when the feedback is critical, right? This is the moment when you've performed this implementation tasks, but this feedback is critical for your role. The feedback that you received from your manager, this is something that is critical at this moment, and this will be the most important item for your learning, is the feedback that you just get from your manager, right? And of course, you may want to say that what we say here is that complete the development and presentation of the plan, receive feedback by the end of first 90 days, create long-term objectives, see what are the items that can be done here. Maybe have a 360 review. Maybe that's too early. But maybe not. It depends on your company culture. It depends on the availability of the tools. Maybe 360 review, maybe something that you would like to do. Maybe some of the assessments can be done by that time. Maybe a review of your work may be performed as well, right? But as you can see, when I just look at this from a high level perspective, look that we've pretty much identified what 5 different goals at different time periods. And the focus, I think what is really important, and it doesn't mean that you need to use this approach that we are suggesting here. It doesn't mean that this is the best model. This is one of many models for onboarding. But when I just look at the goals here, let me just look at them from top to bottom. Look at this, that here we want to boost brand recognition, right? We want to use this engagement of people, to use their motivation to help us to engage more talents, right? Then the goal is changing, ensure that the new hire is fully set up. Then it's integrate the new hire to the company and ensure that they are independently managing tasks and prepare them for the performance management that is totally different process, right? So I think we are just, when we just look at this from this wide perspective, we are touching everything from the pre-onboarding and maybe this talent acquisition teams. I don't want to say we are stepping on their toes, but we may want to say that we are helping them to get these things going on better. But we are just going this on the one side. Then we are onboarding them, making sure that compliance teams are happy, that the safety team is happy, that IT support is happy, up to the point where we are just getting into managerial role, and we are saying that this is the time to give the person feedback. This is the time to assess what are the skills gap, what are the knowledge gaps here, what should be the development and performance plan, right? So these are the things that may be really, really helpful for us. And what I want to say as a summary is I just want to show you, I like to show you tricks with learning battle cards, and I just want to show you one trick here. Because we've played with this, of course, the visual version for the design. This visual part is, of course, perfect to use. But if we want to use Miro to something that is more of a project based, we can jump into activities part, and we have a feedback here, right? So we may want to use this as a Kanban board. And what I really like here is that, you may want to see like, okay, I want to do the feedback. I want to do the 360. And I want to do the assessment. So what may be a nice option here is that using this activity thing, you know the cards, you know what's on the card. You see that it's like a feedback card, but of course you can edit this feedback from manager after 90 days, right? And of course is use provided templates, focus on performance goals, look at the feedback from the body. And this is really, really, really cool that you can see this message here, right? And you can see like, okay, this is something to be done, but when it's in progress, you can measure this as a standard Kanban board, right? So I really love this feature because you can just go from only designing, you can just quickly go to really tracking the execution, right? And I think that, you know, if you just set up this properly, then you design here, you can set up the execution. Also, you can easily transfer those goals, right? Map the goals with the methods, and I would say transfer it to something that is, you know, that is easily managed, and I would say managed in a way that can be extremely effective, right? So without the further ado, what I want to say is to have like a helicopter view. Look what we've done in the last, I would say, 20 minutes. We've used this canvas to design, maybe not perfect, but at least first approach to some kind of onboarding program. We know what are the goals that we want to achieve. We know that we want to use different methods, not only e-learning, not only webinars, but we want to use games, we want to use job aids, we want to use feedback, certifications, community of practice. And there is a ton of things that we just set up. And what I would like to say is that, you know, having a canvas ready, having something that we are working on that will be available in the diagram section. This is something what I would like to do in the upcoming few months is to, let's say, clean up those canvas and make sure they are added here, right? So that in the diagram section, you will be able to go here and click onboarding, and you will have all the canvas added, because I think that this is the biggest value added that we can do here, having at least most common learning processes for sure will help us here. And I think that we have a few minutes for questions. If you have any questions, any comments, or you would like to, you know, hear you know, some of my thoughts on this, then I'm happy to answer them. If not, of course, I will share a link so that you will be able to view this. Let me just paste this link into the chat window if you would like to take some screenshots or see what's here. Just export this. And of course, this recording will be available on YouTube like the previous ones. But if you have any comments, any questions, this will be the right moment to do this. Because what I would like to do is to also invite you already to a webinar that we've planned for the next month, which will be held at the end of September, and will be about action mapping with learning battle cards. So I hope you all know how the action mapping from Cathy Moore works. If not, then I think it will be a good surprise. And how effective and how cool the method is. And of course, we would like to spice it up with learning battle cards, and we will show you how cards can be can enrich the project, how they can be effective with it. Okay.